society, as a community, household, individual, you know. As far as the self-quarantine, I'm just really concerned about the economic impact on people who may not have paid sick leave or paid time off, but have little ones at home, or those who still have to work, and their little ones are, you know, young enough to still need child care. And this wasn't expected or anticipated. The people that may have already, you know, spent what they can for the month, or plan on having the school feeding their kids as a supplement to what they have to spend on food. But the last thing I think people should be doing is panicking. I think being prepared is the only way to stop you from panicking. Kayla Moon had put out a video from Community Alliance, and they took in the facts and tried to, you know, just keep it fact-based about how do we prepare, what does martial law look like, what are the different stages leading up to martial law, and really how we can take it in our own hands if we just limit some things, you know, for a few weeks, almost until like the plague passes, you know, being indoors more often, making sure you just have ample cleaning supplies, stocking up on some canned goods, dry foods like beans, rice, and a can opener. Don't forget the can opener. So I think it's some practical things out there that we can do, and that it's not so much out of our individual control if we're willing to just pick up some extra hygiene practices, and then just take precautions as far as, you know, only going where we absolutely need to go, you know, at least until we can see this through, or they come up with some type of way to test and treat people that may have come into contact with it, especially those that are most vulnerable.
Well, I mean, there was some
dying from it.
There were some NBA players that I was watching in the break room that's quarantined right now, and I know all over the country they have shut down all of the basketball games, any sports, concerts, or anything. I mean, it's like we're headed to martial law now. I mean, in other countries, martial law has been put in place. People have to be off the streets by 7. So that means that you're going to have the National Guard or military patrolling the community. It's almost like Purge. I mean, we have people on live stream. Thank you for tuning in to Dr. Harris Black Lives Matter show. Have you all seen the movie Purge? If you have, can you just give me a thumb up or whatever the little things that come up on the screen? It's called Purge. And the movie Purge is really something that I think about when I look at, you know, the TV, CNN and SBN or whatever ends they have. Okay, someone's seen the movie Purge, and you know, I mean, look, people are telling me they went to the store. Lines are wrapped around the building. You know, people said they went to the meat department. There's no meat. There's nothing there. You know, I mean, I'm 49 years old. And I've been going to the grocery store for 49 years, right? And I not one time ever went to the meat department and never seen that there was no meat. So to see that, people to say, oh, well, you know, meat is not good for you anyway, but I'm just using that as an example. You know, the milk, which milk ain't good for you either. I'll call it pus milk, to tell you the truth. But anyway, that's another show. But people are telling me, Harris, there's no milk, there's no meat, there's no water, there's no toilet paper, there's no... And I'm like, wait a minute. I thought we was living in America here. And so, you know, people... I was watching something on Facebook today how this woman only was supposed to get 2 cases of toilet paper. She took like 8 cases, and another lady came and said, can I have a case? And then she grabbed the case off the other lady's basket, and then they started squabbling. They started fighting and hollering and screaming. And I'm like, wow, what are we, like, just turning into this? I don't know what we're turning into, but it's just to see people fight over toilet paper was just really amazing to me. You know, when we sit and look at, canned food. Well, I don't eat canned food anymore. I mean, certain things I just stopped eating, and canned food is one of them. But what was really interesting was, I thought, that people said the meat department was empty, but the vegetable department was full of vegetables.
Yeah, I've seen the same thing.
And I said to myself, I'm like,
that we need to be eating the most. Yeah.
I'm saying now, usually in most grocery stores here in Fresno, when you walk in a store, you don't come to the meat department first. You come to the vegetables first. Apples, oranges, bananas, potatoes, sweet potatoes, greens, collard. I mean, that's what I've been eating all week. I mean, y'all been seeing my pictures on Facebook. I've been eating greens, collards, and cornbread, okay? I posted a cake. If y'all seen my greens and cornbread in my cake, give me a thumbs up. I know y'all been following me on Facebook. And, it's, all right, that's our cousin from Colorado. Oh, hello there, Tammy. And so, I'm just, so I'm trying to figure out, like, what I'm going to do, Charity starts at home. So I told myself that, I gave someone, I had bought like a 36-pack of toilet paper about, a month ago. And they called me and said, they couldn't find any. So I gave them 2 gallons of water and, some toilet paper. And, I mean, that's just what I do. When people tell me they need something, I just sacrifice what I have and I just give it to them. And, but my point is this. I'm landscaping my yard now, putting all this red bark and all this stuff in there. And I'll probably finish it up next week. It's raining right now. So today, when it was raining, I was coming home, and I was thinking about the conversation when they said that there was no meat in the meat department. And I was like, wow. But the vegetables in the vegetable department was full of vegetables, but everybody was just walking by the vegetables. So I said to myself, everybody know I farm and all that stuff, Freedom School. I said, I'm going to turn my front yard into a garden. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn my front yard into a garden. Tomatoes, corn, bell peppers, just stuff that we grow at the Freedom School. But then I said to myself, I can be a blessing to my neighbors. I mean, I'm not in their business. I don't know what they're going through from day to day. I see them, I say hello, I'm cordial, respectful to them. But I said, wouldn't that be a blessing if I could, I am, could bless people on my block with fresh organic vegetables, or they could come over and, pick tomatoes and all that type of stuff. One, it's saving them gas from going to the store, right? Standing in long lines, right? And I know now that we're being tested. We're being tested right now to see, are we going to break as a society, or are we going to stick together as a society? And, what creative things can we do to help, our fellow neighbor, our fellow man, we are our brothers and sisters keepers right now. We're all feeling this right now. You may have a refrigerator full of food. Hey, God bless you. You may have a freezer full of food. Hey, God bless you. But there's someone out there that don't have food, you know. And I was in the store the other day eating, and this black brother came in, and I looked out the side of, you know, you could tell someone is doing something to the left of your eye, and you kind of look over there, and here's the black brother came in. I think I was at Pandas, and he went straight to the garbage can, and he just started pulling, you know, little foam plates out. He just started pull 3 of them out the garbage can real quick. And they had food in them. Someone just, you know, finished eating, and you could tell, you know, he was, you know, had some type of mental illness, or he was sick, for his, you know, mental capacity or whatever. And what I did was I just watched everybody in the Pandas. I just watched. I just stopped and I just watched. I watched how people looked at him. You know, I watched how people put a little grin on their face. I watched the people behind the counter that was cooking the food, how they were looking at him. And I was kind of going to see, was anybody going to get up to go over and, you know, say, hey, you know, you hungry? You know, we'll get you something to eat. But no, we are a society today that we are scared of our own people. Now, I just happen to be, I guess, crazy not to be scared of my own people. I don't care what they have on, what they look like, on drugs or not. I'm still going to take ownership and embrace them because they are a human being and God created them. Period, point blank. All right? Everyone should be treated with dignity and respect no matter what economic, how you look, what you have on. That's what we're supposed to be doing as a people today. But a lot of us don't do that. A lot of us don't do that. Now, I'm not judging the people that did not do anything. I was just looking at their body language to see, you know, how they're going to respond. And everybody just sat in their seat. So I got up out of my seat and I walked over to the brother. And he had spilled something on the floor and he was trying to pick it up or whatever and put it away. And I walked over to him and I said, hey bro, I says, so you hungry? Let me get you something to eat. Let me get you something to eat. And he said, okay. And I didn't judge him. I didn't talk about him. I didn't belittle him. I didn't persecute him. All I knew was he was a black man, probably on hard times. And God blessed me to have money on my credit card to bless him with a plate of food. You know? And then what was real interesting was when I went over to the counter to order the food, looking at how the people behind the counter was looking at him. You know? And I asked him, you know, what do you like to eat, you know? You know, bringing some self-respect and pride back to our culture of black men and women. You know, we've been so demonized and broken in two and pieces that, you know, when people see us, you know, they all look at us the same way. You know, and so I wanted to set a precedent in Pandas to let everybody know that if I can do this, you can do it too. You know, and so I just feel convicted to do what I need to do when I see I need to do it. You know, what other people don't do, hey, that's on you. And I'm not going to judge you for what you do or don't do. But I'm just saying that, you know, that could have been me. You know, I mean, I was homeless one time. Let me just tell the truth. Let me just put it out there. You know, I was homeless one time. And it was probably one of the lowest times in my life. Went through a divorce. Lost everything. You know, ended up lost my business, my family, sleeping out of my car. You know, I mean, so I know what it feels like to go to being embarrassed and, having to go to McDonald's and wash your face and brush your teeth and, do a little body wash. I know what it feels like for people to look at you and just, demonize you. Everybody has a story to tell of their own. Everybody. A lot of us are 1 foot, 1 step from being homeless, 1 paycheck from being homeless, And, we're, and I really feel we're being tested right now as a people, as a culture right now. How are we going to respond? Are we going to respond just, hey, this is my household and whatever the hell happened next door, that's their business. If they ain't got no food, that's fine. We can have that attitude, or we can have the attitude that, hey, I have something. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do that tomorrow with my neighbor next door. I'm going to ask them how they doing, If you need anything, let me know. They're seniors.
Mm-hmm.
The lady is in an electric wheelchair. She go to dialysis like 4 times a week or something like that. They pick her up early in the morning, bring her home, So it's my obligation, family, to be able to look after our elders. That's our job. They looked after you. So why you can't take time out to look after the elders that took care of you? I mean, I don't want us to be the type of people that how this country has turned us to be. I'm only concerned about me, and that's it. I don't care about nobody else. I'm gonna chase the American dream, but the hell with everybody. We can't be like that. Our ancestors wasn't like that. That behavior we learned, right, from another culture of people, And so I don't know how I got into that topic, but somebody watching needed to hear that. Just do what you can. If you have something to share with someone, share it. I gave the brother the food, asked him did he want something to drink. He did, and he sat down, and I said, God bless you, and I went to go finish eating. But I was not going to sit there knowing that I had a black man in need and I could help and assist. And I'm just going to sit there with a blind eye and let this black man eat off the floor. He's not a dog. Dogs eat off the floor. And some dogs are so respected that they have a nice clean plate. So there was no way that I was going to sit in a restaurant. I would be less of a man. I would be less of a pastor. I would be less of a civil rights leader to see someone eating off the floor and I'm not going to do anything. That's what I'm talking about. I don't need an award. I don't need a pat on the back. That's my humanity to society. We are our brothers and sisters keepers. Period. And a discussion. What do you think about this? I mean, I think that as a people, we're not making good decisions right now for us taking care of one another. What are your thoughts about that? And we're going to go into the show.
I especially think that as far as checking on our senior citizens, those who this coronavirus is affecting the most, is vital. I mean, like you said, if it's nothing more than giving some toilet tissue or, bringing them something to eat or sharing a meal with them. And if you're able, buying a meal, if they are down and can't afford it, like that's the only way that we're going to be able to pull through. And here's the thing, if we don't do it that way, then desperation leads to desperate measures, and where we could prevent somebody from going out and doing a desperate act to just get basic necessities just by exercising and showing compassion, and not just showing compassion, but showing compassion is an action. it's more than just saying how you doing. Like you said, like I'm gonna ask them how they doing, but also can I get anything to them? You know, can I help them? You know, so it's more than just a checklist type of thing. Okay, well I checked on my neighbors, or I checked on my mom or my grandma. Check, you know. No, it's more than that. It's like doing an in action. And if you see something that is not there, especially if it's your loved one, and you know that's all they have, and you see something missing, going out and getting it. If you had the means to go out and get it, or taking some, if you have excess, taking some of your excess and sharing it. That's really what separates human beings with compassion from those without. You know, is that they don't, whatever they have in excess, they don't feel like they're losing to help somebody else, but you might be helping somebody else be that one step away, or get further away from doing a desperate act just to get some basic, you know, necessities. And I think our city needs to step up and put some things in place, you know, where we have something where even kind of evictions are stalled at this point. If you've lost your job or been laid off or had to leave work without pay. PG&E has already said that they won't cut off utilities, so there are no shut-offs that will occur over the next several weeks, even if you owe a PG&E bill and was scheduled to be shut off. So that's just, you know, one act, and I know PG&E don't have this awesome reputation, but to me, that's the least that they can do. They make billions and billions of dollars and live good, you know, off of us. So, you know, the least they can do is in a crisis not take away power and heat that you need, you know. But the city needs to follow suit. The school district needs to follow suit and really put something in place where, you know, we don't have our youth suffering, our families suffering, and so we can pay attention during this time to, you know, our elders and those who are at most risk of dying from the coronavirus.
Yeah. And, you know, like I said, it's you know, I do a lot of, you know, folks know me, I do a lot of heavy lifting and dealing with issues in the community. You know, people come to me with this and that, and I have this big old heart, and I never know how to tell people no. And, but I just wanted to share that with all our listening audience tonight, because, you know, I think when you bless people, I think you know what goes around comes around. You know, even if you don't have anything to give someone, you know, just, you know, treat them with some respect. That's the thing that I see that people don't do today. We don't treat people with respect. You know, we just demonize people, and I mean, you don't know their story. You don't know what they done been through. You don't know the crisis that they have had to, you know, overcome. You don't know the trials and tribulations. So we don't have a right to just keep, because someone look different than you know, that we just treat them less than, you know. Treat people with dignity and respect, no matter what's going on. But like I said, we're just asking people to just, you know, keep yourself, you know, just do some hygiene principles. You know, keep your hands washed. Don't be shaking hands with people. You know, don't be getting up in people's faces. If you know, I mean, you can do what you want to do, but I'm just saying that, you know, we just need to, until we can figure out what the heck's going on all over the country, because it's just like happened overnight, like boom, you know, airports are flooded, people are being tested before they get on the planes. Other countries, they have test sites like here, you know, what do they call that when you a drug checkpoint, you know, so they got checkpoint swabbing people miles and all this, you know. The National Guard is getting ready to come out. Talking to some friends that know people in the Pentagon and families, you know, they're saying in the next 30 days, this thing is going to get really, really serious. So But like I said, I'm gonna be planting me some vegetables in my front yard. Okay, that's what I'm gonna be doing. Cause I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not going hungry because I know how to live off the land. How many of you? Let me just ask this question. We're gonna go into the show. How many of you know how to live off the land? Be honest. Give me thumbs up. How many of you know how to live off the land? Now, living off the land means you know how to grow your own food. You know how to harvest your own food. And if PG&E says we're not giving out no more gas, I'm bringing it home tonight because a lot of you are spoiled. You know, you've been having PG&E all your life, water all your life, gas all your life. Do you know how to make a campfire? I mean, do you know how to make a campfire to boil some water? Okay? I mean, it's serious talk right now. The Indians do. You know? People laugh at them. I mean, when the Native Americans were fighting in Dakota, the pipeline that the government, fighting the government, that pipeline, they were out there in the snow and it was below zero. But they knew how to make the teepees, the tents and things like that. They knew how to cover up and stay warm. Do you know how to do that? So I'm just making y'all do some critical thinking tonight because this thing is real, man. You know, and that's why in the Freedom School, you know, we teach our children life skills. You know, we teach them how to plant. We teach them how to water. We teach them how to harvest. We teach. So our babies right now probably able to live off the land better than anybody other than the Native Americans. So America has gotten a lot of us spoiled. And I'm just bringing it home because I want everybody to start thinking, you know, how do you boil some water? How do you make a campfire with a pot of water and, you know, boil it and able to sanitize and to bathe with, you know? What if you don't have any hot water? What are you going to do? So these are things we got to think about, folks, you know. These are things we have to think about right now. So we're going to get into the show real quick. I know I might have went off topic there for a minute, but I just wanted to let everybody know, you know, that, you know, running, you know, a lot of you may know or may not know I ran for mayor of Fresno. We came in third place. I'd like to thank our team and all the supporters around the world and those here that really work day in and day out to make that be a success. We did not win. Chief Dyer won, but we came in third. And so we filed, I believe we were the last one to file, but we still came in third. So we still have support. People still, you know, believe in me and the message that we have. And we're going to keep moving forward, you know. Just because, you know, we didn't win at the polls don't mean that we didn't win in our heart. And we did win in our heart because we went up against power during a Trump era. So that'll go down in history. There was 3 black men running. I believe it was Jefferson, Nicholas, and myself. And none of us got any. We were all treated the same when it came to the newspaper and the media. They wouldn't give us no play. They wouldn't print our platforms in the Fresno Beach. So it was all orchestrated. And we knew Andrew Jams was working with, you know, side by side, the district attorney with Dyer. So it was a learning experience, but we just want to say thank you. Now, we're going to get into the show. Black Lives Matter show, ACLU questions. $36 million. Fresno Unified misused for low-income students. How many of you knew that? How many of you knew that a school board would misuse money? And I think the bigger question for me is that I know they misuse money, but the bigger question is, why are they not held accountable? Why are they not held accountable? You know, it just seems like, you know, there's a double standard in this country. You know, when black folks do something, oh, we're gonna Throw them under the jail. But when white folks do something, oh, it was a clerical error. Clerical. Why folks are not being held accountable in Fresno. Why elected officials can get away with misappropriating money that was allocated for low-income students. And so we have our sister on the line. She's going to go more in depth. I'm going to jump in and out, but I want her to give the framework of this Fresno Unified School District. I believe is the third or fourth largest school district in California. Don't quote me, but I know we're up there. But we have a lot of issues here. We have a lot of African American boys who are being expelled, thrown out of class, suspended, being handcuffed, just all kind of stuff. I've been in hearings, expulsion hearings, trying to save our little black boys from being kicked out of school. So I'm trying to do my part. And so I'm going to get the floor to you so that you can give our listening audience some framework about this topic tonight.
Well, back in 2000, this began back in 2016, and Fresno Unified, it was given money by the state, and the money that they received and how much of the extra money they received, it depends on the number of like low-income students that they have. Those who are English learners, those who may be disabled in foster care. But this money is supposed to go to help them. It's supposed to go to help those students. So the American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, questioned, how Fresno Unified had spent $36 million of that funding. So $36 million was not spent or was put in the question of how it was spent on the Fresno Unified School District and why it didn't go to those who needed it, which were our English language learners, our low-income students, and predominantly usually students of color. So instead of going towards direct services to those students at $36 million, Fresno Unified used $5.6 million for bathroom renovations and to get additional custodians. They used another $5.6 million to do a middle school redesign, and then another $3.8 million for school employee support, which that could have possibly been, I'm not sure what that support was or what it looked like, and over $400,000 towards the police department to be able to put more officers in the schools and to expand the spot shooter. And the spot shooter is a bullet tracking system that Fresno PD uses. So I'm just, it just baffles me that if Fresno PD controls 54% of the budget, why does it need, again, over $400,000 to help to put more money into Fresno PD, and then to put PD in schools? For the life of me, and I'm thinking the ACLU was thinking the same thing along the same lines, for the life of me, I can't understand how you say you're serving low-income youth with disabilities, immigrant youth, and you put more police in schools. I'm just thinking that you wouldn't need a police officer to help these students. You need some other things to help these students and to help them succeed.
Things like what? Things like what?
I'm sorry?
Things like what? You said, we don't need police officers. Things like what that the children, the babies can have other than police officers on campus?
Well, the first thing we could put people from the community, like these students need to see people that look like them, people that care. You could take that money, half that money, and put a mentorship program into place where you can actually like pay for some things, some activities, or even provide a stipend to that community mentor. So number one is getting people in there that can relate and look like them and be able to intervene in certain crisis situations. Number two is upgrading what they have available to them, from the technology to the textbooks. Number three is being able to put things into the arts and extracurricular, activities that often keep students out of trouble and in shape at the same time. Nowadays, if you have to join private squads, AAU, in these programs, you have $1,000 and more on equipment and competitions, when it was a time where school sports was paid for. When I was going to school, whether you was on the track team, the basketball team, your travel was paid for, your uniform was paid for, and you didn't have to be out all this money just to, find something to do and something to put your energy into. So some of those things, some of those things that could lead to less expulsions, because these students are feeling valued, cared for, and they have people that can relate to them, and we keeping them busy in a good way, and expanding their mind. So just so many different things.
So let me back up a little bit, because you said something earlier about, you said that the school board received some money. Is that correct?
Yes, $36 million.
Okay, so Fresno Unified School Board, and for those of you who do not maybe know what a school board is, it is people who are elected from the community. And so in Fresno, it used to be at large. Now we have districts, and whoever want to run for office has to go out and campaign and convince people to vote for them. I don't believe that, maybe one or two, if I'm right, was on the board when this took place. A lot of them, like, what is her name? Keisha Thomas. Is that her name? Keisha Thomas. She wasn't on the board during that time. She represent our area. But nevertheless, what I'm trying to get people to understand is why you need to get involved in your children's education about the decisions that are being made. That you have people who sit here and campaign in your neighborhood, put flyers on your door, say vote for me. Then they turn around, you vote for them, you put them in office, and then you're thinking that they're looking after your self-interest and your tax dollars, and they come to find out that they misappropriating money. And it's like, well, how can you do that? I mean, if this $36 million, if the monies was allocated for low-income students, why was the money spent on bathrooms? Why was the money spent on salaries and all this other stuff? Why was the money spent on spot shooters? Why was the money spent on everything that it was not supposed to be spent on? But then better yet, I'm asking, where's the accountability at?
Where is the accountability? Because aside from getting a complaint filed by ACLU, there's been no legal action taken. I mean, Hansen, he stepped down, and I believe this is a big part of it. This and other different ways they misappropriated money. One of them dealing with Gaston Middle School. So, yes, it's a history of just mismanaging money, and who suffers. It's the students that need it most that suffers.
So we have over 80 or 70% of Fresno Unified School District children eating low-income lunches every day. We live in a city that has the highest concentration of poverty. I believe we're in the nation. I believe we're number 2 now. We switch off from Bakersfield, number 1, number 2. We live in a community right now that has Darling a packing house that cook dead animals every day, that's stinking up the community. No accountability from City Hall to shut this facility down, that's stinking up the community each and every day. We're still dealing with a community that has no economic development for the past 30 to 40 years. If you were to be blindfold and go from North Fresno to South Fresno and take your blindfold off, you'll think you're in a whole different city. But you're in the same city, the tales of two cities. See, it's the leadership that we have right now, or had in the past as well, that will not do right. And that's why, people ask me a lot. They say, Harris, how come you recall politics? Why are you recalling that person? Because the person is not doing right. We didn't put people in public office to do wrong. We put them in public office to do right and look after our babies and our children and our tax dollars. And that's what people have to understand. I don't care if you're in Fresno, Colorado, New York, Philly, New York, Texas, Louisiana, Florida, Oregon, no matter where you are, you make sure you hold your elected officials accountable. You need to go down to the school board. Just go in and sit and listen. Get the board agenda. See what's being said. See, these people get away with murder because they know that, one, we're working 8 hours a day. 2, we get home, we're tired. 3, it's like I got to cook dinner for the kids. 4, I'm just exhausted. Who wants to go to a board meeting? But we have to organize, family, because for a school district to misappropriate $36 million and spend the money on things that it wasn't supposed to be spent on, and then who loses out? The children. The babies loses. That's who lose. Well, that whole school board should have been recalled.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But see, I can't do everything.
Well, and then they said that Fresno is the 10th least educated city in the nation. So we also are getting a reputation for not being educated.
Well, I mean, we have the school to prison pipeline. I had a friend of mine who was a principal at Carver before they tore it down and built Gaston. First middle school we ever had in West Fresno over the past, 100 years. We're always sending our children to white neighborhoods to go to school for middle school. He was the principal at Carver, and he had told me, he says, Harris, I want to ask you a question. Matter of fact, I'm going to ask this question to everybody on the live stream. He said, out of 250 kids, how many do you think passed the reading test from the 2nd grade all the way up to the 8th grade? Somebody throw me numbers out. Just any numbers between 0 and 250 kids. How many you think passed the reading test at the school? Just throw me some numbers out. Anybody, somebody. I just have one question. How many children do you think passed the reading test, the state reading test in West Fresno? Out of 250 kids, how many kids do you think passed the test? Maria, how many do you think? Maybe my live stream people are asleep. I don't know.
I'd say maybe about 10%, about 25.
25, okay. I couldn't get none of my live stream people to give me any numbers on what they think, how many they think passed the state reading test. I will tell you this. Statistically, that's why statistics are important. And you need to know statistics before you start, talking and, what have you. Statistically, prisons are built based off of education. prisons. California built one university and built over 20 prisons in California. One university. That was UC Merced. But they built 20-something prisons before they built the one university. My friend told me, he said, Harris, he said, there were only 3 children that passed the state reading test at Carver. 3 out of 250 kids. We should be outraged as a community. Outraged.
Incredible.
Upset. Coming up with a game plan to try to save these babies instead of spending our time arguing and bickering against one another. The babies is our future. Only 3 children passed. And do you know that's why they built so many prisons in California? Because our children don't know how to read. And if you don't know how to read, you're in big trouble. I mean, you can't even go to McDonald's right now and put in an application if you don't know how to use basic computer skills. I mean, if you don't know how to fill out a resume and know how to type it and know how to upload it, scan it, and send it off, I mean, those are basic things that our children need to learn.
Yes.
But when we have a district and elected officials who misappropriate $36 million that was supposed to go to low-income students for their education, and the leadership takes the money and go renovate bathrooms. And then you wonder why the black children and brown children, well, black children, truthfully, because they're the ones that's the lowest, they're not even on the radar screen. But just talk about collectively, the monies were supposed to go to low-income students, foster care students, kids, children, you know. And it took the ACLU to come in and file a complaint.
Yes, just file a complaint though. Like, we still haven't seen anything, and they giving $1 million to help, you know, what they say, okay, well, we'll give $1 million to help African American kids. That is nothing. You misappropriated $36 million and then you throw $1 million out there and you think that's okay? No, that's a drop in the bucket. That's just enough to fund a special project, not a full-fledged, let's put things in place to turn this around. That take like $36 million. As much money was misappropriated. Not $1 million.
So the information I was reading, I'm trying to see if I can find it on my other computer here. It was saying that there were trying to see if I can find it real quick. That Fresno Unified had gave $1 million towards African American students. I mean, what was the language? I'm trying to find the language.
This was a couple of years ago, like 2-3 years ago.
Right. Well, I mean, if it's 2 or 3 years ago, we're not doing any better.
Not doing anything.
I mean, come on. It ain't like our black children are, you know, on top of the list. I mean, here's what bothers me. Okay, here it is. Fresno Unified invests $1 million in black students in hopes of combating high discipline rates. I want you to listen to the word.
And hope.
Hope. what does hope mean? If you do, fine. If you don't, whatever. We tried. We threw you a bone, and your black community, your leaders didn't work. So hey, don't blame us. So we hope combating high discipline rates. Listen, our young boys, and I can only talk about the ones that I deal with, come from some real environments that's real. I mean, and it's not their fault. That's what people have to understand. The condition that our black children, especially our black boys, it's not their fault that they're in the condition that they're in. Because what's in the community to help develop them? We have no parks. All the parks look like going to Mojave Desert. There's no activities really at the parks that really attracts the children to come and want to stay there and be there. I mean, what do we have invested in the community that will help develop a young boy into a man? I mean, Freedom School, we've tried to work with this school district, but no, they don't want to work with us. But yet, Freedom School, we're producing children going to black historical colleges every year, every other year. You know, our students at Freedom School, unfortunately, I'm going to use the word unfortunately, because of how much investment and time that we put quality time in our children to make sure that they know what they know up here and they're confident in what they know. Just will run circles around most children. And I would think that Fresno Unified leadership will want to work with organizations like ours to partner and to see what we can do together as a community. But no, our children are the funding source to the school to prison pipeline. So we hope, that's a really slap in our face. We hope. You misappropriate $36 million that was supposed to go to our babies, but you throw a bone of $1 million back and then you say we hope. Well, I don't understand what's wrong with folks in Fresno, especially black folk. We should be outraged.
Yes, and this is the thing, when these people, like when Fresno Unified, when we criticize and they receive that criticism, they get really butthurt and defensive. When really, we putting out there the raw truth, we putting out there the ugliness that need to be addressed, and instead of them saying, okay, this is what they saying, and this is what, need to be done. So as much as it is making us mad, as much as it, we hate to hear this, these are the things that we must fix to turn it around. And how do we start planning to do that? And how do we bring the different individuals to the table to take this criticism and make it work and turn it into a solution? Criticism can be turned into a solution depending on how you receive it. If you get defensive and act like it's not happening and defend something that's just outright wrong, then you go nowhere. You just keep repeating that cycle. But when you take that criticism and you say, you know what, there's something to that. This can be better. That is what's wrong. So how do we fix this? And who do we need to bring to the table to fix it? And you fix it. If it's a problem, it's fixable. It has a solution. But when they close off and get defensive and try to downplay and sweep stuff under the rug, all they do is just collect dirt. And it gets dirtier, and it never gets fixed.
Let me say this. I do know for a fact that we have teachers in Fresno Unified that really goes to work every day and try their darnest to help empower, help educate our children. I do know teachers right now that wake up in the morning. but be so damn tired when they get home, dreading to go to work the next day because of the challenges. But they're there. And we have to give credit where due and recognition to those teachers for even wanting to be in education during this society right now, of all the challenges that they have to face in the community, at home, dealing with behaviors. And so I just want to, make sure that we commend those teachers, because they go through a lot too each and every day, and they need help. They need support, and that's why we have this radio show for those who are listening. Hey, call me. We have a team of people, Freedom School folk. My son just, he's at Southern University right now, on his way home because they locked down the university. He was in the Freedom School. He's going to a 4-year historical black college. But it has to start somewhere. That's all we're saying. And like I said, we're willing to work with individuals who want to work with us. But if what you're doing is not working, maybe you need to do something different. Here's another point I want to talk about. I'm getting close to the end of the show. In the early 80s, coming out of the 70s, and I got to get this information. I forgot to ask this brother for this document the other day when I seen him. But coming out of the 60s, the civil rights movement, the 70s, black folks was able to get in corporate America to some extent. And we started taking positions in government for school districts. And there was a time in Fresno where we had, don't quote me on this number, between 10 and 15 male principals in Fresno. Don't quote me on a number. I know it's 10. It could be 10 to 15. I know it's not over 15. But we had over 10 black men, MEN, educators in Fresno Unified School District. Did you hear what I said? And today, March 16th, 2020, we don't have not one black male principal that's been brought to my attention. Now, wait a minute. We have vice principals as males, but we have no male principals. We have female principals, which is good, but we have no male principals in Fresno Unified School District. Why is that? Why is that? How is it that we could come from the 1980s with 10, 15 different black men in education, where our young black boys could wake up, go to school, and see a black man in a power position, leadership position, where he or she, and we're talking about he could say, you know what, I want to be like Mr. Newsom, or I want to be like Dolphus Trotter, or I can be like, our children can't even say who they want to be like because there's no one in position that's black, that's a male, African descendant in leadership position here in Fresno. What is Fresno, the third or fourth largest school district in California? I can't remember right now. But I know it's one of them. It's a large district.
I believe it's the fourth.
The fourth. That's what I think. It's the fourth largest school district in California. And we have no black male principal. And then you want to wonder, why are the black kids doing that? See, every other race has their people in position of power. But when it comes to our children, they don't see people of blackness in power to say, I want to be like this person, this black man. So how can the children, the black boys, even gauge themselves to even want to be like someone when there's no one there that look like them? And for the life of me, Cal Johnson, who sat on the school board, he didn't even care to have a black male principal. Now, Keisha Thomas, is that her name? Thomas? I think that's her name. Thomas.
Yes.
Thomas. I haven't even talked to her about it yet. But the community has to have leadership that's a makeup of the district. And we haven't had that. We didn't have it under Hanson. Who was the superintendent before Hanson? I can't remember. Okay, I see his face, but I can't think of his name. But we haven't had any black. So there's a problem with black. That's what I'm trying to get people to see. So if you want our black children to do right, you have to put strong black male leadership around them to teach them. That's why I said, you see Fresno Unified with all the success that Freedom School had. Grades going up, behaviors going down. Our kids are excellent. You don't believe me? Come out and see them. I had a teacher that teach ag over at Sunnyside High School. He came over to our facility one day, our farm. And I had to go do something, and he got up and he went out in the back to be with our Freedom School kids. And so he just started asking them little different questions about farming and this and that. Because I know what's in our children. Because our staff and myself, we teach them. We embed it in them. He comes back and he says, Reverend Harris, he said, I went out back and I talked to the children. He said, I want you to know something. I said, what's that, sir? He said, your children know more than my high school children. I was like, whoa, really? He said, yes. I started asking them different questions about the soil and this and that. And they were just... See, that's a compliment to the leadership of the Freedom School. That's a compliment to the leadership and to the parents and to the babies. That's why our children are doing so bad in Fresno Unified, because there's no real grassroots black men that's going to keep it real and raw, folks. Our black boys are dealing with a lot every day. No fathers in the home. They see a lot of stuff on the streets, and they take all that stuff to school. That's all we saying. Partner with us. Work with us. I mean, I have people who want to volunteer their time to come in and teach our students how to talk Spanish. Who does that? But $1 million. I can't get over that. You misappropriate 36, but you want to give black boys $1 million. That's lunch money.
Right.
We're at the end of our show. I just wanted to have this show tonight because I think it's important that everybody, I go to my Facebook. I posted the content. I didn't get a chance to play the video. It wasn't a video. It was a still picture of Channel 30. The verbiage is there. Verbiage is there. Read the verbiage. Come up with your own thought process. Don't believe me. Do your own research. And you will see that we getting played, man. We getting played. We getting played. We hope. Use the word hope. Hope with $1 million. But you misappropriate 36 million. See, somebody should have went to jail for that. Somebody should have went to jail for that. So, go to my Facebook, check it out, read it, digest it, share it with a friend. And we're going to go ahead and sign off tonight. It's about 9:30. Just want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. And share this with other folk, Again, please keep your hands washed. Please don't touch people till we figure out what the heck's going on. I'm sure that martial law is going to be coming into the United States. Check on your neighbors. Check on your elders. Share what you can because we're all in this together right now, like it or not. Right now, this virus don't care if you're a Democrat, doesn't care if you're a Republican, don't care if you're independent, really don't care if you have a title or not. If it's going to get you, it's going to get you. So we have to be our brothers and sisters' keeper. And I'm going to go ahead and sign out tonight. I'm going to say Hotep. We hope to see y'all tomorrow at the same time, 8 o'clock. Peace.